Hi guys, my name is Nosi. I'm a South African and I live in England. I continue to share information with us about how to relocate. I've been in the UK at first to study my master's degree in advanced social work studies at the University of Dundee in Scotland. I think I shared that process in my another YouTube, how I did that process, but now this one I'm preparing it for professionals who want to relocate for work purposes. As that time I relocated to study and I had other personal reasons to relocate, which are not important, but they were personal. But I also wanted to further my studies. I like to study as a person. I love to study. Education gives you power. Knowledge is power. So I came to study first, but now I came back to work. So I'd like to share the process that I took to come to work. I've also realized that everybody have their own process. Be patient with yourself. Don't be judgmental. Don't give up. Have a positive attitude. Be an optimist, not a pessimist when you want to relocate for work purposes. Yeah? Here is how it started with me. Initially, I wasn't going back to South Africa. According to my plans, I was gonna stay and work here because my personal life was here, the one that made me to relocate in the first place, to leave my job in South Africa and come here. So, but stuff happened, personal stuff. I needed to be in South Africa, and I worked in South Africa for 2 years as a gender-based violence specialist. So I was specializing in gender-based violence in South Africa for 2 years before I came back. But when I came back, I decided to come using employment visa as opposed to other visas. There are many visas. You can ask me personally if you are interested in, but I decided to use the employment visa, right? I'm staying in bed because it's a little bit cold, but that's not the purpose. So what steps do you follow when you want to relocate? I'm going to list them, but I will go to them one by one in different videos because I always avoid to have many videos. First of all, you are a graduate, you are a social worker. It's either you are a beginner or you are experienced. For beginners, some counties or LAs offer a 1 year empowerment to young social workers, which they call CYC. You must also consider applying for it, but I will come back and give you information on being a CYC. In as much as I had many skills, but I was also experienced in becoming a social worker. So I came as a social worker that has experienced here. Of course, we come here because the money is good. The money is very good. We all want money, so the money is good. Okay. Now let's go back and talk about my own journey, which I would like to share with you. First of all, you cannot apply without being registered with Social Work England. So I had to start registering with Social Work England. It costs 12,000 Rand currently, depending on the value of Rand that time. So the process of Social Work England took months on its own because for me, I studied here. They first said I wasn't gonna pay the fees because I studied here, but they came back and they said my masters were more scientific because I choose, even though my masters were in advanced social work, I choose those that had more points in research so that I further my studies to PhD when I want to. So they were called advanced. And because I was experienced, I didn't feel like I need to be trained on practicum again because that was not my intentions. So they said my fees were waived. But later they realized that no, my masters were not equipping me to practice, but they were more scientific. So they came back. That delayed the process because I had to redo the process, right? So and then with Social Work England, there are processes taken which I will record a video on. You register with Social Work England. After you register with Social Work England, you apply for jobs. There are two things you do when you apply for jobs. It's either you apply directly to the county or LA, or you apply through the agency. Again, you will tell me in the inbox if you would like to be empowered on how to apply through the agency, because I'm not going to tell you now in this video. I came with an agency. I was frustrated now in South Africa with the money, with the job I was in, and with the attitudes, because I was experienced. So I remember that day I was a bit frustrated. Then I called a friend who gave me an email address. The funniest part was that that same day my email was responded to and I was asked to send a CV. I was going to be interviewed the next day. Then I said, yes, I'm ready. The lady called and she interviewed me. We talked. Then in 3 days' time, she was preparing me for the written interview, which I did and passed. Then I went to stage 4 of applying, of meeting the panelists, the real panelists. And also on the same day, I also had an interview with colleagues who are abroad and stakeholders, just to get the feel of how things are happening. I passed. They were impressed by me. You wouldn't, anyway, even in South Africa, worldwide, people who have interviewed me will tell you that I'm such an interesting candidate because I'm knowledgeable about the things I do. Be it I'm interviewed as a researcher, be it I'm interviewed as a social worker. I'm such an interesting candidate. The only time I did bad on interviews was when I was interviewed just after I had COVID. I was not even aware that my memory was COVID made that time when I was just recovering my memory to be slow. I was under pressure. I was still recovering. Then I was called for an interview. I forgot. I was forgetful. That was the only time I did bad in interviews, but I always do well. So people get impressed by interviewing me, which is fine. Guys, learn to sell yourself. Come to me to empower you on how to do interviews. If you would like empowerment, I will do that. Thirdly, then I was interviewed. It was nice. I was smiling. I was talking to them. I was giving them information and all of that, and they were impressed. Then I was offered a job. And after being offered a job, my mistake, don't do the same mistake, was to resign immediately because I thought the process was going to be too quick. Even though they tell you and say, do not resign until further notice. That led me to having 4 months of unemployment. And I got bored because I like to work. So I was offered a job. Within 10 days, all my process was done, which can happen to you, but we all have our own journey. If it doesn't happen like mine, be patient with yourself. And then after that, the only thing that delayed was that after you are employed, you have to wait for the certificate of CO, is it COC? Certificate of employment, the one you use for visa. I'll check the right vocab and write in the comment section what I waited for. That certificate of sponsorship. Of sponsorship, you have to be sponsored to come as an employee. Unlike when it's like when you come as a student, you have to get an unconditional offer. It's like when you come from marriage, you have to prove that your spouse lives abroad. No? So I had to wait for the sponsorship certificate, which took months. And then after that, I started the process of applying for the visa. But before you apply for the visa, you make it a point that you have a TB test. Last time I checked, it's 2,500 to apply for a TB test in South Africa. You have to make it a point that you have a police clearance. It is done in all the police stations. There's a section for it. I think I paid 140 rand. And then it's the TB test. Then it's the English proficiency test. Of course, I didn't write the other test that other people do. I wrote what they call ECCTIS because I have been abroad in the past. So I just produced my qualifications. Then they analyzed them. Then they said I pass. And then it's the police clearance, it's the TB test, it's the English proficiency, and with Social Work England, which we will discuss later when I go step by step how to do these things. They will send information to your university. You know, people claim to have studied in certain universities only to find out that they didn't even study there. Okay, so they will send information to the university and ask for stamps. Yeah, so after, and also with employment, in as much as you would have said you have references, in my case, they wanted email addresses of the organizations, not personal emails, but email addresses of those organizations. If you say Department of Social Development, the email address you provide should be linked to the Department of Social Development. So I had those. If I forgot, I will list them in the comment section. And then after that, I guess I was ready to apply for my visa. Of course, before you apply for visas for this and this, you must have a passport. So go and do your passport at the Department of Home Affairs. I already had a passport because I'm a traveler. I travel all my life, you know, so I already had a passport. So I guess you need to start once the Social Work England registers, you go straight to make the passport, because you can be employed anytime. And then after that, I applied for the visa. My visa application process was a little bit delayed because my police clearance expired, which I'll also tell you about how to avoid the what has happened to me from happening to you. I share these experiences so that you learn. So I'll say police clearance and talk about it one by one, all of these things. So I was delayed by my police clearance, which was an issue. So my visa application came back. So I got delayed. I got frustrated. But as soon as the visa was issued, I traveled. Because I had an agency, they used my relocation package. Relocation package is plus minus 8,000 British pounds. It's something like, converted to rands, I think it goes to 160 to 170,000 rand. Then that's where you rent. That's where you take a little bit money for rent to eat. That's where you take a little bit of money for a car, etc., etc., and some of the belongings that you will need. The relocation package, you don't access it unless you arrive in the new country. Then you can be paid back some of the monies that you have paid. It won't be sent to South Africa. No, it's paid when you are here, when you have traveled. So I always I have a problem with recording long videos because they take time to load. So then you arrive, they pick you up at the airport, they put you to your place of accommodation, and you start working. You can rest and then you start working. I will close this video now. I've just given you the processes. As I have time, I will go through these things one by one and say, how do you apply for a police clearance? How do you apply for a passport? How do you apply for a visa? How do you apply for a TB test? How do you apply for an English proficiency test? I will give you one by one so that we don't have these long videos. I'm doing this so that you learn from it, but I'm doing what I like the most: talking, sharing, empowering. I hope you are empowered, and I will continue empowering you and up until you are ready. That's what I do. That I studied in Egypt. That time I worked in a research and demography. By the time I came back, I transferred skills to colleagues. I will use this platform again to transfer skills so that, guys, you are empowered. This is not difficult. As long as you are a qualified social worker, you are needed. Your skill is needed. The social work theories you studied are needed. The assessment skills are needed. Risk assessment skills are needed. The models you studied. You can do this. May God bless you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tell others to come, and we have a talk. We have debates. We empower one another. God bless you. Bye. Love you.